top Jewish state school is accused of racial discrimination for rejecting the application of a boy because he was not, and I'm quoting, an approved Jew.
This is Nick Ferrari at Breakfast, LBC 97.3.
If I was to suggest to you that allegations of racism are probably hurled around like confetti and all too readily these days, I would think most of you would probably agree. But what would you make of the allegation of racism being hurled around about a Jewish organisation and, if it can get any worse, a Jewish school? But that's what's happened, and it's the country's top Jewish state school accused of racial discrimination for rejecting the application of a boy because he was not, and I'm quoting now, an approved Jew. The High Court is hearing a case how the JFS, Jewish Free School in North London, refused to grant a place to an 11-year-old boy described merely as M because its religious authority ruled the boy's mother was not born Jewish and had not converted to a branch of Judaism recognised by the Office of the Chief Rabbi, the body that offers guidance to the school on a pupil or parent's Jewish status. The Orthodox movement insists the faith can be passed through matrilineal descent, and in the case of M, who obviously we will not name, I don't know his name anyway, but you wouldn't name for legal reasons, his father is deemed to be Jewish, but his mother, born a Roman Catholic, subsequently converted, is not deemed, and I pardon my clumsy language, but is simply not Jewish enough. Education Secretary Ed Balls disagreed that the JFS had a racist admissions policy. In a written submission to the case, Balls said most religions were disproportionately represented among certain racial, ethnic or national origins and underrepresented among others. He goes on, if it was unlawful to advantage those of particular racial, ethnic or national origin by giving preference in admission arrangements to children of particular religions, this would apply to many, if not most, schools with faith-based over-subscription criteria. The case is due to conclude tomorrow. How can you not, and again, I choose my language carefully, how can you not be Jewish enough to attend the JFS? David Lightman is a father of a child who I think has possibly experienced the same problems. He joins me now. Mr. Lightman, briefly, what happened to your lad?
Good morning, it's my daughter actually.
I apologise, your daughter, my apologies for that.
We applied some 3 years ago. I want to put in context. This is a school that I went to, that my sisters both went to, that my wife teaches at. So all of us have a close connection to JFS, and they would not let my daughter
You would seem to have a lot of ticks in the relevant boxes then, Mr. Lightman.
My wife's good enough to teach there, but my daughter's not good enough to go there. And the reason that she can't go there is because the Beth Din, who advised the Chief Rabbi on these religious matters, have decided that my wife's conversion, though undertaken by the Chief Rabbi in Israel, isn't good enough for them.
Hang on, your wife was converted by the Chief Rabbi in Israel?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm sorry to say this, but that would seem pretty kosher to me, then.
Listen, if you try and explain this to a Jewish person, they think it's insane. You're trying to, your listeners must be thinking that they've gone back to some crazy land. Because, as I said to you, my wife teaches there. She was converted by the Chief Rabbi in Israel. We have been practicing Jews since we just celebrated 20 years of marriage.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We've brought up a family in a kosher Jewish home, but we're not good enough for the Chief Rabbi. He won't talk to us, he wonst engage with us, he just won't accept us.
So this happened. Does this happen, from your knowledge, this happens fairly frequently with the JFS?
See, the thing is, first of all, let's just make a point about JFS. We're not attacking the school. The school is put in this invidious position.
By the Beth Din?
By the Beth Din, by the Office of the Chief Rabbi.
Right.
So the school...
Sorry, just explain the workings. For those who are not familiar, explain what the Beth Din is.
The Beth Din is a religious court that advises the Chief Rabbi. Now, the other thing that one needs to make clear is that the Chief Rabbi would like to be considered the equivalent of the Archbishop of Canterbury, but he isn't. He represents a part of British Jewry, not all of British Jewry. And it's very political, and he's very keen to assert his authority. Now, the point about the case that's being brought in the High Court, and we are an interested party, if you like, in that case.
You're not appearing at the court, I trust, are you?
No, but we've submitted witness statements.
Right, okay.
So we're what's called an interested party.
I see, okay.
I mean, quite frankly, the only reason that we can't pursue this legally is because the sums involved are quite astronomical.
What sort of money would M's mum and dad be spending?
Well, let me put it this way. Yesterday, in the court, there were 7 barristers.
Oh, man.
So, we're just a normal family, and we don't have those sorts of means. So that's why, it wouldn't be my choice to fight this out in public, but this is the only thing I can do. And to answer your question, what's very clear is there are lots of people like us, but they are too scared to speak out.
Because?
Because the Beth Din operates, holds sway, and can have a terrible effect on people who are members of the United Synagogue or want to be affiliated.
But what would it do?
It can, well, I mean, they can apply pressure in interesting ways. And people are scared to stand up and be counted, and we're not. So, I mean, in terms of the racist thing, the argument is along these lines that if you are Jewish by what they call matrilineal descent,
Now, this is where it passes through mum.
through your mother's line,
Yeah.
then you could be someone who has a Jewish mother, who practices Buddhism, who eats a pork sandwich every day, and you could get into JFS. Whereas someone who converted to Judaism, which is the case of my wife and the other child we're talking about, who is a practicing Jew who goes to synagogue every week, will not be allowed into JFS. So, with respect to Ed Balls, he's got it wrong. This is not.
So,
what's also important to stress is this is not a irreligious argument like the Beth Din would like to make it, because we have had a tremendous amount of support from ultra-Orthodox people, from members of the United Synagogue. In fact, I would suggest that if you polled members of the United Synagogue, they would be heavily in our favour. The problem is that the Beth Din is an unrepresentative, extreme bunch of people who basically control the United Synagogue like a cabal, and it's unacceptable, and it's about time someone stood up to them.
Mr. Lightman, thank you. David Lightman is a father. Oh, by the way, did your daughter get to a good school, sir? I should have asked that.
She did, but we are continuing the fight.
Well, good luck, and I'm sure we'll possibly read about that in the light of the case that's due to finish at the High Court tomorrow. We will obviously request a comment of the Beth Din now. As regards the JFS, Jewish Free School, Jonathan Miller, head of school in United Synagogue, was not prepared to appear on the programme. However, he did. I'm grateful, or his team sent me a very lengthy briefing. Just to pull out some of the points there, all mainstream denominations of Judaism define Jews on the basis of family descent. The Beth Din undertakes arbitration in civil disputes between Jewish people in accordance with the Jewish law. The claimant's wife underwent a conversion under the auspices of an independent, progressive synagogue. The conversion is not recognised by the London Beth Din. How can you not be Jewish enough for a school? That's after this.
This is Nick Ferrari at Breakfast, LBC 97.3.